Get ready for the comeback. The Six is in revival. Let's show love, TO, and begin a new cycle. Let's rise together and discover what our city has to offer. We all had to sacrifice. Now it's time to prosper. We weathered the storms and didn't lose hope, in the same water, but different boats. We focused on the road ahead even when times were tough, embracing the city's beauty from the harbor front to the bluffs. We're not coming back the same way we left. As a community, we need to reflect on our collective steps because we've all been affected in one way or another. Like seeds, we need to adapt to a different soil with the potential to bloom anew. Like the maple leaf breathes hope into the branches of our fruits. So welcome back to a new way of being. We have to see and believe in the things we've done and trust in the path of things we've yet to see. Because we are the world in one city, stitched together by culture, understanding, and mutual respect. Woven by invisible threads of migration tales that symbolize a togetherness running through the heartbeat of our city. The yearning of dreams, the hope for belonging by any means. This is a place that fulfills destinies. Let's see Toronto soon and revive the rhythm. Let's see Toronto now and create a new vision. As we open our doors wide and welcome our own in the world again, take a moment to embrace our city's excellence. Welcome our sports teams back home, cheering together at the Scotiabank Arena or inside of the Dome, the Rogers Center as it's now known. Our sports teams have grown, even stretching to BMO Field, eyeing the throne. Our legacy is so real. Let's welcome Cafe TO, where live music meets restaurant patios, both old and new. Food for the soul that fuels. Toronto is a delicacy, a huge potluck where the taste of the world emerges to create one dish, served hot and ready over the table of togetherness. You can travel the world exploring the city, glimpsing the globe one subway stop at a time. Here, diversity is embraced and every culture shines. Here, your vibe attracts your tribe when your steps have aligned, just like the letters of the Toronto sign. Together we'll rise, like the CN Tower against our skyline. We've missed you, and there's so much more we want to show. Consider this your invitation to make your destination TO.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Destination Toronto's 2021 Annual General Meeting. My name is Rob Houzé. I'm the Chair of Destination Toronto's Board of Directors. And as I begin, I want to acknowledge the land that we're on. We are honored to meet here on the traditional territory of people who have made their homes on this land for many years. The Mississaugas of New Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Huron-Wendat. This week, we mark the start of Indigenous Heritage Month, and we have all been deeply affected by the discovery of 215 children at a residential school in Kelowna. The news brings into light added importance of confronting our past and actively learning from Indigenous communities to elevate our understanding. In some Indigenous languages, the word Toronto means gathering place, and we continue that tradition with respect and with gratitude. We are all in the business of gathering and providing the places, the services, and hospitality that enable people from around the world to gather here in Toronto. Today, for this meeting, we have more than 400 people gathering, although, unfortunately, we're not quite as together as we'd like to be. Normally, maybe with the promise of a glass of wine waiting for us at the end of this session. Thank you for joining us virtually in what I know is a busy time for everyone, especially as we all work together towards reopening and recovery, a phrase no doubt that we'll be hearing quite a lot of over the next hour. Even though we're not together in person for this AGM, it is vital that the tourism and hospitality industry stay connected. I hope that you enjoyed the special performance that opened the show. Thanks very much to Randall Adjei for that tremendous piece of work, an inspiring piece, A Promise of Reopening. Randall's a spoken word artist that hails from Scarborough and was recently named Ontario's very first Poet Laureate. Like Randall said, together we'll rise like the CN Tower against our skyline. Truer and more inspiring words could not have been spoken. As you can see, we're once again doing things a little bit differently this year. We're coming to you live from Studio X at the Exhibition Place. I'd just like to take a moment to thank everyone at Exhibition Place and the Intercare Center for hosting us today. And of course, Mark and his team at Encore for the technical wizardry that they're so good at so that we can broadcast to your screens at home. Over the past 15 months, our industry, be it hotels, attractions, restaurants, tour operators, meeting venues and services, have been navigating a crisis that evolves almost daily. But in the same breath, that evolution is taking a turn for the better. And I'm thankful to say, one that allows us to see sun on the horizon. More than 70% of adults in Toronto have had their first dose. I know I have, and I hope all of you have. We're days away from patios reopening, shopping in stores again, outdoor performances, guests in hotels, drive-ins, the return of local travel, and haircuts. Lord knows that we all need them. I think that we can all agree that our very own Mayor Tory deserves to be in the very first seat at the barber shop. But I'm going to be right behind him. I already have my man Louis lined up, so let's hope that's soon. The challenges, though, are not behind us. They're still very much with us. Recovery doesn't ramp up to full speed overnight, and many businesses have accumulated huge losses that will take many years to overcome. To kick things off today, we're very pleased to begin our meeting with messages from all three levels of government, demonstrating once again their collective support for Toronto's tourism and hospitality community. First, we will hear from the federal government. We'll hear from the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Economic Development and Official Languages, Marie-France Lalonde, whose mandate includes FedDev Ontario, which has been a key player in supporting our sector this past year. After that, we're very pleased to share a greeting from the provincial government and Minister Lisa MacLeod, Minister of Heritage, Sport, Tourism and Culture Industries. Minister MacLeod has been a champion for our industry at Queen's Park and has made passionate arguments for the double bottom that tourism generates for the province, an important economical and cultural impact, making our province so vibrant. And finally, we'll hear from our Mayor, Mayor John Tory. He advocates tirelessly for our city and understands the importance of working with our industry to bring about the returns of travel and vibrancy to our city.
Hello everyone, and thank you to the team at Destination Toronto for inviting me to participate in today's AGM. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are virtually gathered in Toronto on the traditional territory of the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Anishinaabe, and the Wendat. Since the beginning of the COVID-19 crisis, it's been clear that Canada's tourism sector has been hit hard. Depuis le début de la crise de la COVID-19, il est clair que le secteur du tourisme canadien a été durement touché. Over the past year, in the face of these extraordinary circumstances, all of you in this sector have demonstrated incredible strength and resilience. We have seen how many business owners have been working hard to adapt and to survive until local economies begin to reopen. Through programs like the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, the Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy, and Regional Relief and Recovery Fund, our federal government has been there for the tourism industry every step of the way. And we will continue to be there for you as we move towards economic recovery. Since the start of the pandemic, the Government of Canada has invested more than $15 billion to support tourism, art, and cultural sectors. As part of Budget 2021, we have proposed an additional $1 billion in support for the tourism industry over the next 5 years. This support includes $500 million through the Tourism Relief Fund for local tourism businesses and $200 million to support major festivals and events. Ce soutien comprend 500 millions de dollars au titre du Fonds d'aide aux touristes pour les entreprises touristiques locales et 200 millions de dollars pour soutenir les festivals et événements importants. Here in Southern Ontario, FedDev Ontario has invested over $165 million in almost 500 tourism-related projects since November 2015, with over $90 million in tourism relief funding since May of 2020. This includes $30 million in support to the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario to provide relief to destination marketing organizations across Southern Ontario, including Destination Toronto, to help mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on the organizations they serve and to ensure these organizations are well positioned to welcome back visitors back to their communities when it is safe to do so. Toronto, Canada's biggest city and the fourth largest city in North America, has so much to offer and celebrate for all. From Toronto's extraordinary waterfront to vibrant neighborhood main streets, a thriving restaurants and entertainment scene, to its festivals and events, as well as many historical and cultural sites, Toronto has something for everyone. In fact, the city typically welcomes more than 27 million visitors each year, making it the leading tourism destination in Canada. This has an economic impact of more than $10 billion on the local economy, and an estimated 70,000 jobs in Toronto are supported by visitor spending. That is why the work of Destination Toronto and the businesses here today is so important. Your support for local businesses is key to their ability to keep workers employed, adapt to this challenge, and position themselves for a strong recovery. We are hopeful about the future before us, but we know there is much more work to do. As a government, we will continue to work alongside tourism businesses here in the GTA and across Canada as we move towards a strong economic recovery. On behalf of the Government of Canada, I wish you all the best with the rest of your AGM today. Thank you. Merci.
Hi, I'm Lisa MacLeod, Ontario's Minister for Heritage, Sport, Tourism and Culture Industries. I'm also the proud MPP for Nepean. The past 15 months has been incredibly difficult for Ontario's heritage, sport, tourism and culture sectors. COVID-19 has had a devastating effect on many businesses in Toronto, businesses that were hit first, the hardest, and will take the longest to recover in our tourism industry. As you all virtually meet for Destination Toronto's AGM, I want you to know that our government is committed to helping strengthen the city's leisure and business tourism sectors, as well as its sister sectors that make Toronto one of our province's premier gateway cities. From Toronto's iconic institutions like the Royal Ontario Museum, Ontario Place, and the AGO, to the world-renowned hotels and restaurants, these destinations contribute to our double bottom line. A spectacular double bottom line that contributes $75 billion in economic activity, hundreds of thousands of jobs, and a social bottom line that enhances our cultural fabric and our Ontario spirit. That's why I'm proud that our Ontario 2021 budget includes nearly $1 billion of support for these sectors and the businesses, including a $100 million newly launched Ontario Travel and Tourism Small Business Support Grant. Additionally, I'm looking forward to sharing more details later this month about a significant investment this ministry will be making to Destination Toronto. I want to send my best wishes to the success of your AGM and to thank all of you for your incredible resiliency during this time. Thank you, and I look forward to working with all of you in the days and months ahead as we begin economic recovery and social recovery for Ontario.
Hello, Mayor John Tory here, and hello to everyone in Toronto's tourism and hospitality community. It is a pleasure to be joining you all once again, this time virtually, and my hope, as is the case I'm sure with all of you, is that this time next year, in many different respects, but that we'll certainly be in a position that we can be speaking to each other in person and be talking about the remarkable comeback of tourism and businesses in Toronto's visitor economy. And you know, with the hope of the vaccine and our hard work in staying the course to stop the spread of COVID-19, I'm incredibly optimistic that that will in fact be the case. As you know all too well, it's been a devastating time for businesses right across the sector. There isn't a business or a person within the tourism and hospitality industry who hasn't been adversely impacted by the pandemic. The pandemic has tested us all. It's taken its toll on us all, but few more so than with this industry. You know, I say it often, but it's worth stressing again how invaluable this sector is to Toronto and indeed right across the province and the country. The vibrancy of our city, and I think that has a lot to do with the vibrancy of the country, that vibrancy hinges on your work and on your success. And for all the work and all the sacrifice, I am tremendously grateful and indebted to each and every one of you. So as the pandemic wanes, I'm confident that we will once again be seeing record numbers of visitors, topping those eventually that we saw pre-pandemic. And I know that today's tourism visit, I know this absolutely, today's tourism visit is tomorrow's investment or immigration decision. People come, they experience the city in a way that's very positive thanks to you, and they want to be here, to stay here, and to invest here, or all of those. And I can assure you the City of Toronto is doing everything in its power to ensure that that continues to happen and that it starts to happen again. But we're not waiting until our pandemic recovery to support this industry. Throughout the pandemic, we've been dedicated to creating opportunities through things like Cafe TO and Stroll TO. These are programs which have been great success stories and will continue this summer as we try to have an offering for people who may be coming as visitors from a little closer at hand. And we're not doing it alone. We're growing a powerful group of key players like Destination Toronto, Toronto Global, the Toronto Region Board of Trade, Mars, the Toronto Finance International, just to name a few. Over the past 15 months, I can tell you the city has worked closely with all of you and with Destination Toronto to support recovery and very soon to support reopening. That is especially the case with our relationship with Destination Toronto, which has never been closer during my time as mayor. I will tell you right now, Scott Beck is a great leader, as he is a great believer in the entire Team Toronto concept. And I can tell you, that kind of cooperation will never be more important, the kind of Team Toronto spirit, than during the upcoming recovery. We need to work together. Last year, we worked together to launch a number of initiatives like To Go Toronto to support the culinary community, Show Love TO to encourage residents to safely support shopping and dining local, and those programs are ready to go again. That deepened relationship continues this year on a number of these fronts to ensure that businesses can recover successfully and doors are open when we welcome back visitors. We are the Canadian epicenter for business and for culture and for finance and tech and arts and culture and entertainment. I could go on and on. I didn't even mention sports. But I know that you all have plenty of work to do, and so we don't need to recite that list to each other. And so I'll leave you to get on with your work and leave you with one final message of appreciation and the wish that everyone in the tourism and hospitality community will have a safe and successful reopening in the days and weeks and months to come. As the mayor and as an individual, I am in your corner. I am determined to see you and all of us in the city back where we belong. I know we have the right stuff to be there. It's all still here. And I will do everything I can to help. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Mayor Tory, Minister MacLeod, and Parliamentary Secretary Lalonde. It speaks quite a lot. Indeed, it's inspiring that all three levels of government have expressed their genuine commitment to tourism and hospitality, not only to support recovery now, but to be partners for the long term as we grow Toronto's visitor economy. It is now time for the formal portion of our AGM. I'd like to call the 96th annual meeting of Destination Toronto to order. Based on registration and in accordance with our bylaws, we have a quorum of members. I'll start with a brief report. I promise to be quick, but I was thinking about this the other day. When I first became chair of Destination Toronto, the board, back in November of 2018, we had just finished a record-setting year. It was a tremendous time to become chair. Another record-breaking year, part of a decade of continual visitor growth, and the future looked terrific and bright. Shortly thereafter, I learned that we needed to find a brand new CEO. And shortly after that, we faced significant changes to our funding. That led to extensive work to forge a new partnership with the City of Toronto. Thanks to outstanding work from the search committee, we did, of course, hire a brand new CEO, and you'll see more of him shortly. Our relationship with the province has continued to grow and evolve, and we have never had a more like-minded and aligned relationship with the City of Toronto. So just when you thought that you could breathe a sigh of relief, suddenly a global pandemic halted travel, and with it came business instability right across our industry. A painful reminder of the critical role visitors play to our economy and to our community. I've seen firsthand the hard work done across the industry in a constantly evolving landscape. Through the first reopening and then subsequently the second and third wave closures, the businesses within Toronto's tourism and hospitality community have pivoted and innovated and done everything necessary to ensure that doors will open once again and that we'll welcome back visitors to our amazing city. Thank you for making making this destination so vibrant in the good times and so resilient in the difficult ones. Thanks also goes out to everyone at Destination Toronto. This is a group of individuals that are second to none, with an unrivaled passion for all things Toronto. From day one of my term, right through to now, day 901, Destination Toronto's board and staff have been up to the many challenges that they've faced. It's been a real team effort. I'd like to close my chair report by saying I'm really optimistic. I'm really optimistic about the future of this organization, our community, and our destination. I wish everyone the very best of luck and good health in the year ahead. With that being said, we're coming up to the first vote for the AGM. Prior to this meeting, an individual was selected to vote from your organization. That individual received an email with instructions on how to vote. For those that have not been contacted as a voting member of the community, you won't see the motions on your screen, but don't panic. So just bear with us and you'll hear the results of the vote. To make the process a bit more seamless, we've already received movers and seconders from the membership, so I will read those names as I introduce each motion. You'll see the motion appear on your screen. Then we'll all wait a few moments for the vote to take place, and then I'll share the results with you all. So our very first piece of business is approving the minutes of the 2020 Annual General Meeting. The minutes from last year's meeting were included in your AGM registration package, which was emailed out to our membership roster. The motion is now on your screen. This motion was moved by Tim Reardon of the Sheraton Centre, Toronto, and seconded by Don Boyle, Exhibition Place. I now put the question to the meeting. Designated representatives, please vote now. I declare the first motion carried. Next, I'd like to introduce Nick Eves of MLSE, who is chair of the Finance and Audit Committee, to present the report from the Association's Finance and Audit Committee. Nick is joining us remotely this year. Hello, Nick.
Thank you for the introduction, Rob, and good afternoon to our members and members of the tourism community joining us today. On behalf of the Finance and Audit Committee, I'm pleased to report on Destination Toronto's audited financial statements for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020. For the 16th year in a row, the Association's independent auditors, Ernst & Young Chartered Accountants, have awarded Destination Toronto another clean, error-free audit opinion. In the professional opinion of Ernst & Young, Destination Toronto's audited financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position and results of operations for 2020. A copy of the audited balance sheet and statement of operations for 2020 have been posted in the members section of the website. For a complete copy of the audited statements, you can contact Destination Toronto's Vice President, Finance and Administration, Rocco Fazzolari. On your screen, we have a breakdown of expenses for 2020. In this year, Destination Toronto was funded primarily through the City of Toronto's municipal accommodations tax. The city fulfilled its funding obligations despite the impact of the pandemic on the tourism and hospitality industry. In addition, federal government stimulus funding was received through the Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy Program and the Regional Relief and Recovery Fund. Switching now over to investments in programs and personnel. These costs were significantly curtailed and deferred to align with the recovery of the tourism and hospitality sector. As the pandemic unfolded in 2020, market conditions did not support the need to invest in field programs. The focus turned to restructuring the organization and building campaigns that would be launched when the velocity of the recovery picks up. This has also enabled us to build a baseline budget for 2021 and operating reserves for 2022 and 23 to be used in fueling the recovery. In 2020, global marketing represented the majority of expenses, and deferrals amounted to a 63% reduction to budget, followed by global sales and services with a 57% budget reduction, finance and administration with a 38% reduction, and destination development with 65%. Overall, total reductions in deferrals amounted to budget savings of 48%, resulting in a fiscal surplus of about $20.6 million, which has been allocated to the 2021 baseline budget and to the operating reserve to be used in future years with the board's approval. The board, along with the Finance and Audit Committee, are working closely with management to address financial management strategies to ensure the organization is in the best position to weather this period, fuel the recovery efforts, and emerge from it strongly. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. We'll now vote on a motion accepting and approving the Finance and Audit Committee report as presented. The motion should now be on your screen. This motion was moved by Nick Eves, MLSE, and seconded by Jennifer Reynolds of Toronto Finance International. I now put the question to the meeting. Designated representatives, please vote now. I declare the motion carried. The next item of business is the appointment of independent external auditors of the Association for the current year. Today's recommendation has been done in accordance with Destination Toronto's procurement policies and procedures. The motion to reappoint Ernst & Young Chartered Accountants as the independent external auditors of the Association for the current year is on your screen. The motion should be on your screen. This motion was moved by Nick Eves of MLSE and seconded by Reka Cote of MK2 Hospitality Incorporated. I now put the question to the meeting. Designated representatives, please vote right now. I declare the motion carried. Our next order of business is the Board of Directors. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to the board for the substantial amount of work and time given over during the duration as my tenure as chair. And that's especially the case for their work and effort over the past 15 months during this crisis. Because of last year's change in the timing of our annual general meeting, our current board members and officers have served a term covering the entire pandemic. Our volunteer board plays a vital role at any time, and particularly so in circumstances like these. So thank you. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you for your dedication and helping and steering Destination Toronto. Some of those directors concluded their time on the board. So I'd like to express a very sincere thank you to Denise Herrera Jackson, Muriel Solomon, Peter Doyle, Nick Eves, and Mike Williams. On behalf of the entire board, staff, and our entire community, thank you for all your years of work and hard and contributions. I just wanted to also take a moment to say a very special thank you to Mike Williams. Not only was Mike an active board member, but he was a key player, colleague, and advisor every single day in his leadership role with the city. He made a huge impact on the organization of the city, so we send him an extra helping of gratitude. Thank you very much, Mike. We'll now move forward with the appointment of nominees of the Board of Directors. You can see on the screen the nominees. So we have 3 directors that will be commencing a 3-year term. Hilary Marshall from the Greater Toronto Airport Authority, Anouk Karunaratne from the Toronto Blue Jays, Trevor Louis from Quell Now Inc. We have 1 director to fill 2 years of an unexpired 3-year term, and that is Camille Allen from CIBC's Square Project. And finally, 1 director nominated for a second 3-year term, and that is Tim Reardon from the Sheraton Centre, Toronto. The motion is now on your screen. This motion was moved by Peter Doyle of Ripley's Aquarium of Canada and seconded by Terry Mundell of the Greater Toronto Hotel Association. I now put the question to the meeting. Designated representatives, please vote now. I declare the motion carried. With the motion approved, the board will meet in the coming days to ratify the officer appointments. This process will mark my passage into the sunset as past chair. And now it's my very great pleasure to introduce the vice chair, Andy Logus. Andy and I have had a long history together, and I can say without a shadow of a doubt that Destination Toronto will be in very, very good hands. I'm so pleased that Andy is here in person with us today, so please join me in welcoming him to the stage. Andy.
Thanks, Rob. It's great to be here and to have all of you join us virtually. I want to first start by thanking Rob. It certainly has not been business as usual, particularly since March of 2020. Your leadership has been outstanding and amazing through these unprecedented times, and I know that I have big shoes to fill. And yes, Rob and I do have some history together, and in times of crisis, no less. In 2008, I was the chair of the Greater Toronto Hotel Association, and Rob was the incoming chair, just as a global recession hit. So I guess we can call this payback. As Rob so eloquently said, the past 15 months have been a real team effort, and I know we're up to the challenge to rebuild and aid in the recovery of Toronto's visitor economy. And I know Scott and the team at Destination Toronto are ready too, and I'm excited to work closely with the board, Scott and staff, to get our visitors moving to and around our destination. We need to build on the work that's been done by the community and to continue down the road of recovery. The heavy lifting is about to begin. A big part of that heavy lift is in preparation for the return of business travel, including business events. Without that, the visitor economy and our overall economy cannot recover. And I know Destination Toronto's sales team is preparing to pound the pavement and to deliver, book, and future meetings. Work that needs to be done now so that we have a strong pipeline of events to fuel the visitor economy. And I'm willing to bet that there isn't anybody watching right now that it can't wait to get back to travel. Our goal is to ensure when restrictions are lifted, visitors choose Toronto. The recovery will first start with the domestic market and then international, which is essential for a global city like Toronto. Urban markets like Toronto must see all of our visitor segments return. All of our markets are necessary to ensure that we see our destination thrive and have more record-breaking years in terms of visitors and visitor spending. It's going to take a team effort to get it done, but I know our entire industry is up for the challenge. No doubt we are all aware of the enormity of work that is in front of us, but we are going to get there, and we're going to get there together. Thank you. Before I leave, I'd like to invite Rob back up to the stage. And on behalf of the board, Scott, and staff, we want to present you with this small token of our appreciation for all the work you've done during your time as chair, Rob. So thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
And so on behalf of I want to pass this paddle, and I want to actually read the inscription. This paddle was actually made by Canadian artist Natasha Whitke. And the inscription, a steady hand through challenging waters. So how appropriate.
Well, thanks very much, Andy.
Thank you.
That's terrific. Well, once again, thank you so much for this. It is very meaningful, and actually, it's a multi-use tool, so I will be able to use this well in my office. Once again, thank you, Andy. I just wanted to say, with you taking over the reins, I have a sincere wish and hope for you, and that is that your term is comparatively boring and uneventful, because we know that that means our economy, and more importantly, our visitor economy, will be coming back faster and stronger than ever if that's the case. I wish you all the best of luck. There being no further business, our final motion is to adjourn the formal business of the meeting. The motion is now on your screen. This motion was moved by Riley O'Connor of Live Nation and seconded by Lorenz Hossenstein of the MTCC. I now put the question to the meeting. Designated representatives, please cast your vote. Well, they kept me in suspense there. I would have thought that motion would have been quicker. But I do declare the motion carried, and the official business of the Destination Toronto 96th Annual General Meeting is adjourned. I now have the pleasure of introducing Destination Toronto's President and CEO, Scott Beck. I know it's been a somewhat different first year and a half than Scott envisioned when he started in his role, but I can't tell you how important his leadership has been. We've seen that leadership at the board, at the staff level, and also within our community, asserting the place of the visitor economy in the broader economic recovery for Toronto. I know Scott, like me, would rather be meeting with all of you in person. Hopefully, that's just around the corner, not too far away for now. In the meantime, I'm pleased to welcome Scott to the stage to provide his CEO report, sharing his perspective on the past year and on the path ahead. Scott?
Thank you, Allison. Thanks, Rob. I too want to extend my gratitude to all of you for the leadership and the time that you have given to us as chair. It's a demanding role, made exponentially more so over the past 15 months. Thank you for navigating this organization through this crisis. On a personal note, I want to thank you for all of your support. You provided me and all the time you have spent with me. It has meant the world to me. And you're right, it was not the start I had expected, but it means so much more to me that you were there to share this time with me and to lead me through this. And I want to thank our entire board who, like Rob, have provided steady guidance and leadership. I also want to thank, as Rob and Andy have done, Mayor Tory, Minister MacLeod, and Parliamentary Secretary Lalonde for their support of our industry. It is clear that they recognize the impact visitation has on our community's economy and social fabric. While it is always good to have such strong leadership from the leaders of the organizations, at Destination Toronto, we are doubly lucky in that the staffs working with all of these leaders at every level are equally as supportive, engaged, and helping guide our efforts. So let's talk about 2020. While it was a year most of us would like to forget, there were some very noteworthy accomplishments and strategic directions that were developed that will be very relevant moving forward. I will not spend too much time on the toll of the pandemic. You are all hyper aware of the impact. I will note that earlier this year, we conducted an economic analysis of the impact of the pandemic at the 1-year mark. The devastation was hard to grasp, even for those of us who were directly impacted. The numbers tell the story, no hyperbole needed. What was also clear was how many businesses felt the impact of the loss of the visitor. When we conducted the initial economic study in 2019 in partnership with the Toronto Regional Board of Trade, it demonstrated to the larger business community the scope and the impact of the visitor spending. Losing that impact has helped raise the awareness even more. What was clear from the study was that the impact of the visitor spending extends deep into our economy. Spending in food and beverage, retail, attractions, art and culture, all of these sectors are feeling the impact of the loss of the visitor. I do want to make one special note to the impact of the hotel industry and to the meetings and events sector of our industry. These are clearly the hardest hit of the hardest hit. The hotel industry is reliant on overnight travelers, visitors here for business travel, leisure, visiting friends and family, the list goes on. And we genuinely cannot hyper-local our way back to recovery in the hotel world. Overnight visitors have to return. That list of visitors includes those visitors here for meetings and events. In 2020, nearly 400,000 attendees weren't able to experience our destination. Over 450 meetings were canceled. All of these numbers show just how devastating the pandemic is at an economic level, but they do not speak to the intensity of the human toll. Responding to the crisis meant adapting. Every business in Toronto has had to adapt, often shifting its priorities and how it operates, including responding to the impact on our staff. We are in an industry that will not move online. The hallmark of what we do is how we engage with the people. This is not the new normal for us, and there is nothing normal about right now for our industry. Destination Toronto is no different. We adjusted every aspect of our business and the work we do as we responded to the ever-evolving nature of the crisis. As Nick acknowledged in his report, in 2020 we reduced our staff and adjusted salaries, and we paused most of our traditional sales and marketing programs. It was all part of how we, like all of you, had to manage the ever-changing landscape of the pandemic. Okay, so enough about the loss. Now on to other aspects of 2020. What follows will focus on 4 core strategies, recognizing that these strategies were part of 2020, but will also be part of our plans for the foreseeable future. These new strategies enabled our team to work closely alongside partners throughout the entire community. Our goal was simple: seize the opportunities of the moment while also adapting with an eye to the future. First, and probably the most visible strategy, was the pivot to the local nature of the audience for our messaging and content. Critically, Destination Toronto shifted marketing and communication efforts to focus on connecting and keeping local Torontonians informed on the evolving state of the products and services of our industry. Using our proven social, paid, and earned media tactics, our efforts were guided by the need to ensure residents had the current information when it comes to what's open, how to support local, and stay informed regarding the businesses in our industry. One of the most early needs we saw was to support our culinary community. By moving quickly in the early days of the pandemic, with the launch of togotoronto.com, we were able to help more residents find and connect with local businesses that were open for takeout and delivery, and then expand to include patios, which, as Rob noted, we'll be doing soon again. Like the traditional work pre-pandemic we did in support of our web presence, we leveraged To Go Toronto through a paid and social media strategy, tapping into a diverse and talented group of local content creators and influencers. We expanded this local network of influencers to also work on sharing information on iconic Toronto neighborhoods through a series of guided walks built in collaboration with the city. These walks encouraged people to discover and explore more parts of the city. This initiative was one key part of our growing collaboration with the City of Toronto, a collaboration that will be in full swing in support of their upcoming Show Love TO campaign. I spoke earlier about the economic impact the pandemic has had on meetings, conferences, and events. Numbers that show just how devastating the pandemic has been on the business events industry. From day one of the pandemic right up to today, our global sales and services team has focused on rebooking all of the business that was impacted by the pandemic and finding creative ways to maintain our strong relationship with our clients. We developed an aggressive retention strategy for major events that included concessions, incentives, and cooperative programming, all geared towards ensuring we kept the business in Toronto. I'm happy to report that those efforts resulted in 62% of canceled major meetings and events being rebooked in Toronto for future years. While it is business deferred, it is not business lost. We re-engaged our Canadian corporate sales efforts for the near term, leveraging our well-established network of clients. Our focus was a special offer that was only possible due to the willingness of our key hotel partners. While we have not been able to fully leverage this program, our plan is to regroup with our hotel partners and extend this offer into 2022. The main focus of our sales efforts was the implementation of core strategies that would lean into growing our citywide pipeline for 2020 and beyond. As Andy noted, refocusing on our citywide business development was our highest priority. From our targeted in-market business development efforts to the ongoing refinement of strategic sector strategy, a strategy that focuses on leaning into Toronto's global reputation in tech, finance, and life sciences. Those sectors are also equally as important to Toronto's economic development community. We've worked closely as part of Team Toronto, as Mayor Tory noted, with the city and all of the Economic Development and Culture Division to help amplify programs like Café TO, Stroll TO, and Active TO, all part of the city's initiative to encourage Torontonians to reconnect with the city they love. We saw an immediate need to stay connected to and be a source of information to the businesses in our industry, moving our newsletter to a weekly cadence, focusing on current information about support for businesses, policy changes, and relevant news about the state of the pandemic, and other opportunities to help them bridge to recovery. All of that proved to be the right move. I really hope you are all receiving the newsletter and finding it useful. I'm certainly encouraged by the 35% open rate, which is a double-digit increase growth for us year over year. And we continue to host events, virtually of course, including our EDGE events, first with a series on understanding government support, then a series on the path to reopening, and the current series on readiness and recovery. With the recovery top of mind, we partnered with the Greater Toronto Hotel Association to convene a leadership group from across the community. The Hospitality Recovery Task Force focused on data sharing, aligning market priorities, and facilitating informed decisions across all subsectors of the community. Many of these initiatives were planned or had their origins before pandemic, and were at the time aimed at creating better alignment of our efforts with our stakeholder community, with an eye to long-term growth. These initiatives have proven to be relevant well beyond the immediate needs of crisis response and recovery. In 2020, we formed a new business intelligence team built with a focus to aggregate, analyze, and share research and insights to build to help our stakeholders and businesses throughout our destination be able to plan, advocate, maximize opportunities to engage with the visitor economy. Another key area where we evolved the foundation of our working relationship was with Destination Ontario and Destination Canada, our counterparts at the provincial and national level. We engaged in strategic conversations about how we had worked together historically and how we could build new opportunities moving forward. Destination Ontario was always a key partner in our travel trade efforts. While 2020 saw little direct efforts in travel trade sector, we made enormous strategic changes that for the immediate future have Destination Ontario at the forefront of our collective travel trade efforts. We saw a similar evolution with Destination Canada. With new leadership and the reality that business as usual was not going to move us forward, we have embarked on new strategies for the urban markets in Canada, the role of DC in the business events segment, and of course, aligning our efforts with DC's push to encourage Canadians to travel in Canada. These strategic changes with these two important partners provide a bold new opportunity for Toronto and our efforts to bring visitors back to our destination. We're nearing the end of our AGM, but before I leave you today, I want to take a few moments to look ahead. You heard it from Rob and Andy, and you'll hear it from me. We're optimistic about the future of our industry. Toronto went into this lockdown on November 23rd of last year. That's 193 days ago, the longest of any jurisdiction globally. The past 15 months have brought a lot of unknowns, but what we do know is that the fundamentals of what make this city great remain in place. Our goal as your destination marketing organization is to be positioned and resourced to reflect the full breadth and depth, the full scope and scale of our destination to the rest of Canada and to the world. I want to talk about a few key strategies moving forward. A few short weeks ago, we rolled out the soft beta launch of our content hub, Destination Toronto. When you visit DT.com for short, and please, I hope you will visit and let us know how we did, what you will see is more than just a website. While it has all the elements of a beautiful website, it is built to allow for collaboration from all parts of our community in newfound ways. This opportunity for collaboration is the most important part of our strategy and the opportunity that we are the most excited about. The entire underlying ecosystem of our website has been reimagined and rebuilt. It's about the content, and that's why we call it a content hub, not a website. It's an entirely new way to work with the community to produce, curate, and promote all of the amazing products and services that make up our vibrant destination. It will also serve as a home base for the restart of our marketing campaigns and activations. We can't wait to share with all of you in the coming months what this new program looks like. It's vital that we continue to target our messaging about our industry to the hyperlocal and then regional markets, encouraging residents to seize these upcoming opportunities to explore and reconnect with the city and region they love, to hopefully try something they haven't done before or haven't done in a long time. Like always, timing is everything. Our sales and marketing campaigns are fueled by insights and data, and that's why we've created the Business Intelligence Unit I spoke about earlier. A new tool, the Research and Insights Terminal, was built to be a community hub for all things visitor economy. We will also use this platform to share the strategies and tactics Destination Toronto intends to use along the path to recovery and beyond. You'll find business intelligence dashboards, reports, and market readiness index, all available to the community to help inform your strategies. You'll also find industry insights, articles, and blogs on topics that affect the industry, and of course, our education and all of our events, including upcoming opportunities to connect with the community, live and in person. Business events are clearly in tough times, as recovery is slower to start here in Toronto, especially as compared with our competitive cities in the US. Our past efforts building strong relationships with clients, alongside our strategic focus on building new client relationships in key markets and seizing every opportunity to showcase Toronto as the place for their meetings, will be critical to the full economic recovery of our city. Business events will be paramount to our recovery. We must stay focused on rebuilding our pipeline now. Simply put, this isn't a problem for another day. The meetings and events we book now, and rest assured every major urban market is aggressively pursuing them, will impact our recovery for years to come. While they won't have a big impact on this summer, they will compress the length of the recovery, and it will be at the heart of our destination's path to recovery. I want to leave you with one final parting thought. Despite all the economic and human toll of the pandemic, I have been constantly inspired. I've been inspired by the way businesses and people of Toronto have adapted, doing businesses in new ways, responding to the isolation, and finding creative new paths. I've been inspired by the way we have come together as an industry, here in Toronto, across Canada, and among our peers in the world. I've been inspired by the way our city has chosen to react to the social justice movement that is so much a part of the past year and a half, taking an active approach to addressing equity and inclusion, showing leadership in how we use spaces throughout the city to create more vibrancy, and how we work together as Team Toronto. And I have been inspired by the way so many of you have checked in with me. Over the course of the last year, your notes of encouragement, your willingness to listen to a father of 4 daughters talks about how much he misses them, or lament all the good food he has not yet experienced. It has all meant so much to me personally. That is why I am so inspired. The hard work is not over. I know that very well. But there's a light and a path now, and I look forward to sharing the journey with all of you. So I want to thank you all sincerely on behalf of the entire Destination Toronto team for your engagement and support over the past year. It's a genuine honor to stand here on behalf of the staff, and thank you for your support. Thank you for being here today virtually again, and like Rob said, I cannot wait to be here in person, waiting for a glass of wine at the end. We opened the show with a poem by Ontario's poet laureate, Randall Adjei. Acknowledging this moment in time, now we would like to close it with some thoughts from our social ambassadors who share their excitement about the things we miss the most and can't wait to get back to. Before we roll the video though, I really want to say a deep, sincere thank you to the entire team at Destination Toronto. You have made the last year and a half one I will never forget, and I say that in the most positive way. All of your hard work. We began the year with a lot of staff who is not here with us today, and I cannot wait for the day when we are all back together as Team Toronto. I hope you'll enjoy the video, and like you will see, I can't wait to get back out and explore the city we love. Mr. Chair, this concludes my report. Thank you for your time.
So it's hard to pick just one thing that I love about Toronto.
I love how diverse the city is.
Obviously, the first thing we have to talk about is our food. We have such an incredible diversity of restaurants.
You can pretty much get anything here, and it will be done right. It'll be authentic.
From lots of great Asian food to Mexican food, Cuban food, French food.
Taste the entire globe in a day.
Every neighborhood has its own flavor. Multiple Chinatowns. You head to the Danforth, our Greek district. You head up, Midtown.
Little Jamaica is still thriving.
And then you head back downtown.
Pedestrian Sunday and Kensington Market.
Kensington Market is just a collection of so many different cultures and stories over time.
A lot of my favorite restaurants and vendors are still serving, doing their thing, just begging to be discovered or rediscovered.
And there is so much to discover in the city. I love to do it by bike. That is the one thing that saved me this year.
There are tons of trails around the Don River, Don Valley, Evergreen Brickworks, Woodbine Beach, Boardwalk.
There are so many different well-known and hidden green spaces in the city where you can escape and forget that just a couple blocks away, you're right back in the action.
So everybody knows about visiting the Toronto Islands in the summer months, but most people don't realize that you can also visit in the winter. I'd say pack some snowshoes or cross-country skis if you've got them. You can't beat those amazing skyline views from the Toronto Islands.
One thing I have not tried that I want to is stand up paddleboarding out of the Scarborough Bluffs. So I'm going to go on the board and take in the bluffs from a different perspective.
I feel like I must be the last person in the entire city to try the Edge Walk.
Way at the top of the CN Tower. I need to get up there, take the entire city in.
I would never do the Edge Walk. You could not pay me.
What do I miss most? People, gatherings.
The city has such an amazing, frenetic, and buzzy energy to it.
It's lively, it's vibrant, it's people running into each other that they haven't seen in a long time.
Or being out and randomly making new friends.
Did someone just say hi?
Yeah. So when the city fully reopens, the first thing I'm doing is taking my son to the aquarium and the Toronto Zoo.
I am dying to go to a concert. You know, we just have such world-class talent here, and we also have world-class performers coming to visit us.
Events and exhibits, whether it's a festival, it's an art exhibit, it's a light installation.
The Toronto Christmas Market, Pride, Caravana, the CNE.
This city does festivals like no other, so I can't wait until they return in their full glory.
Something that I discovered about Toronto over this past year is that we're tough. Much tougher than advertised.
I've just been blown away by the creativity to make it work.
They are putting their work and their love on a plate or on the rack or wherever they put it.
Overnight, merchants have had to figure out how to sell their stuff online. Fine dining establishments are creating takeout menus and meal kits.
You know, you look at the support local initiatives that have been going on. So many things that show that people weren't just concerned about themselves, but their neighbors.
This support of small business and community is beautiful.
And I think that's a true testament to the people who call Toronto home.
We have made it this far, and I'm excited for what's to come.